But in my opinion, this WHATSKEY alarm has been designed with a strong focus on two main things, which are 1. Its remote start functionality, and 2. Its simplicity of installation, meaning it's been designed to be as easy to install to your car as possible, and it is. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, hello and welcome to my channel, and I hope you like today's video. If you like smart home and automotive technology content, then hit that subscribe button because most of the time that is what you're going to see on this channel. In today's video, I will be installing this WHATSKEY PKE car alarm system with remote start functionality. However, in today's video I will not be installing the remote start side of the system. That will follow in a separate video. And the reason for that is because of the number of you guys who have asked me to make a remote start video. When I thought about it, it made perfect sense to make the remote start video a completely separate video. And this way I could make it a more universal type of video as well, so that it could be used for various other brands of car alarms, which would make it more useful to my audience. So yeah, that's why I have decided to do it this way. So if you're watching this video now, hoping to see a remote start video, well, if everything goes to plan, it should be just a few days away, and I will be using this WHATSKEY alarm for that video, as opposed to my last spy car alarm, which is what I had originally planned to use. But I have somehow managed to accidentally throw away the remote start module for it, which is really annoying as it means I have to install a complete new alarm system now. But oh well, I'm always changing the alarm system in my car anyway, so it's not like I'm not used to doing that by now. Okay, so anyway, yes, in today's video I will be installing and reviewing yet another car alarm, and it's this one right here, which is the WHATSKEY PKE car alarm. If you haven't heard of this brand before, I found it here on AliExpress.com. So because I have never installed one before, and because the features of it were so appealing, I decided to buy one and give it a try. It was a great price as well. As you can see, it only cost me $80, plus shipping, of course. And as you can see again, it is also app controlled, which is usually the only type of car alarms I install, as I love that feature with a car alarm, as it's just so convenient considering I use my phone for everything else anyway. Okay, let's open up the box and have a closer look at what this WHATSKEY alarm system comes with before we get stuck into the installation of it. Okay, one thing I have already noticed is that it is not supplied with a siren at all. Of course this is no major problem, I can get a siren from anywhere, or just use the car's horn instead. Here we have the main control interface, which as always I have opened up, and the build quality of it looks pretty good. It is also supplied with 2 remote fobs that you can use to control the system as well, which we will be testing out in this video, but after that I doubt I will use them again, as I do prefer to control my car alarm system using the app on my phone instead. What else have we got? This here is the reset valet switch, so I have to find somewhere to mount that in the car. This here is the push start button switch. And yes, we will be installing that as well, but how that works I will be saving for the remote start video. These 2 black long blocks are the antennas for the PKE features. If you don't know what PKE means, it stands for passive keyless entry, which basically means your car can lock for you by just walking up to it, providing you have your smartphone in your pocket or bag. And of course it works the same way that when you walk away from the car, it will also lock by itself as well. This is all controlled through the app that you install on your phone. And these 2 here are the wiring looms that plug into the main control interface, which you need to wire up into the car's electrical system. And lastly, this is the Bluetooth module, which plugs into the main control interface as well, and is used to control the alarm system using your phone. And here is the installation instructions for the alarm system. And I have to admit that after reading these instructions thoroughly, this has to be one of the easiest car alarms in the world to install. And the reason for that is because this alarm system is designed mostly to focus on the remote start feature. So while car alarms are usually a very time-consuming job to install, I have to admit I'm kind of looking forward to this installation and expect to have this finished in a very short time. And as for the remote start video, I can see that being a lot more easier to do as well using this WHATSKEY alarm, as it looks so simple to set up, especially when you compare it to some of the other brands out there. But anyway, having said all of that, the system is not installed yet and there's still a lot of work to do. So let's go down to the car and start the installation. Okay, so the first thing we need to do when installing a car alarm is of course pull the car apart into a million pieces so we can get access to all the wires needed to wire up the alarm system. But because I didn't want to bore everyone with that part, I've done it all for you already. Now it's best to first find a suitable place to mount the alarm's main control interface. This way we know how long we will need the wires to be as well, and if we will need to extend some of the wires or not. I'm going to mount the main control interface up here, like this, as it's out of the way and probably the best place for it. So I'm going to mount that up there now, and then we're going to start doing the wiring. Okay, so the main control interface has now been mounted. Everything's been plugged in, including the wiring loom for the remote start, because some of those wires need to be connected now, as this loom also contains the main power wires for the system. In regards to the valet switch, I've still got the valet switch mounted here from my spy car alarm, and because it's a nicer looking switch than the WHATSKEY one, which is here, I'm going to just chop this off and continue using my spy car alarm valet switch instead. Okay guys, I've now just worked my way through a big portion of the wiring side of the installation. So I now have the wires connected for the central locking, the trunk release, the door switches, and the foot brake and park brake. And those last two wires are very important to connect, especially in regards to the remote start feature being able to work. My spy valet switch up here, that's all been connected. So now all that's left as far as the wiring is concerned is the power wire, the ground wire, and the ignition wire. After that there will only be three wires left, which I will connect in the remote start video instead, as they're important and I will need to talk to you about them for that installation. So I'll connect my power wires now, and then it will be time to mount the antenna and Bluetooth module. Alright, the power wires are all connected and the wiring is all done. Now, watching this video would have made all that look very easy, but the truth is it's not. Most of the wiring was done at the body control module, which is on this car, located up just behind the fuse box here. But a lot of the wires I could not find there. So that's when the job becomes very time consuming, because you have to dismantle the car even more. For example, trying to find the handbrake wire, I had to remove the seat and the entire center console to get to the switch itself, which yes is a lot of work, but if you don't do that, then sometimes it will result in hours and hours and hours of frustration trying to find the required wires, especially when all your wiring diagrams tell you where the wire is and what color it should be, and they're all wrong. Okay, so now I'm going to mount the Bluetooth module. Okay, I decided to use some adhesive tape and mount the Bluetooth module in here, which is just under the A-pillar trim cover, so it's out of sight as well. So that was an easy part of the job. It's important that you don't assemble the car again before you scan that QR code though, as that's the link you need to download the phone app. Okay, and now there's these two, the PKE antennas that we need to mount. The instructions will tell you to mount one antenna at the front of the car and the other antenna at the rear of the car. This is to ensure you have a strong signal from all around the car. However, I am not going to be doing that, as this is a van and trying to get an antenna from the front to the rear of the vehicle is a lot of work, which I honestly don't have time to do at the moment. So I'm going to mount one antenna on the right hand side of the windscreen and the other antenna on my left hand side of the windscreen. I think this will be more than adequate, but if it's not, I can always change it at a later date when I have more time. The two antennas are actually identical, apart from the wire length, which one is considerably longer than the other, to reach the rear of the car of course. So I'll stick those on now, before continuing to the next step. And the PKE antennas are now both mounted to the front windscreen. So that leaves us with just one more thing to do. Well, technically speaking there's two, because this alarm system does not come with a siren, and I don't have one in stock, so that's another job I still need to do, but at a later date, when I can go to the shop to buy a siren. So now that leaves us with one more job to do. Mounting the push button switch. Now, once the system is all set up correctly, basically turning the key in the ignition will no longer be required to start the car. So a lot of people will mount the push button switch over the ignition switch. However, that won't work for me because my ignition switch is also used to release my steering lock, which is not electric on this vehicle. So, where do I mount the push button switch? Maybe onto the side of the steering column here, or maybe somewhere on the dash once this panel's back on again. But anyway, because this is not required until the remote start video, I think for now I'll just tie it up out of the way. This will also give me more time to think about where I could mount it and where it's going to look the best. So now all that's left to do is to reassemble the car. So I'm going to do that now, and then it's time for the fun part of the video, testing the system out. Okay guys, it's now a few days later. I had other things to do, so I had to put this video on hold for a while. However, over the last few days I did manage to get to the shops to buy a siren though, which you can see I've mounted and wired up here in the engine bay. I've also had some more time to think about the mounting of the push start button switch. So I have also mounted and connected that as well, and I decided to put that here, as I think it looks the best when mounted there. So now, apart from the remote start feature, which I'm going to be covering in my remote start video, everything else is complete. However, I had a few spare hours yesterday as well to really test this system out for you, and unfortunately that's where things went wrong, because the results were not good. Okay, yes, this alarm system was priced at a very attractive price, but the number of problems I've come across while testing this product has left me very disappointed with the purchase, and none of these problems are anything to do with my installation. I've been installing car security products for years, so I am very experienced in this field. But anyway, I'm going to continue this review, concentrating on the positives, and show you all the features that did work for me. Okay, so to lock the car, you can just simply press the lock button on the remote and the car will lock. Or alternatively, you can just tap the lock button in the app and the car will lock for you. And if you're using an Android phone, you can even shake your phone and the car will lock for you as well. However, unfortunately this feature is not supported for iPhone. Using the PKE feature and just walking away from the car, hoping the car will lock for you, is unfortunately a feature that is not supported by the Android app. And while this feature is supported for iPhone, for me, while testing this system, I could never get it to work. But using the remote control, the PKE feature works really well. And now to unlock the car, we just do the same thing again. With the remote, walking back to the car, the PKE feature works well and will unlock the car for you. And again, while this PKE feature should be supported by the iPhone app, while testing the system, it just would not work for me. And of course, just pressing the unlock button on the remote control will also unlock the car for you. And of course, for the Android users, shaking your phone will unlock it as well. Now, what about the trunk release feature? While on this van I don't need this feature, I have however set it up anyway, so you can see how it works. And this feature works really well. Using the remote control, you just hold the trunk release button down for 3 seconds. And in my case, the tailgate opens. This feature also works really well with the Android app, and to use that you just tap on the trunk button once, and then tap yes. And the tailgate opens. And this feature worked great with the iPhone app as well. And now I'm coming back to this push start button, which I still plan to be using in the remote start video, providing this feature of this alarm system will work for me, and I hope it does, as that's my next video. For now though, the push start button is connected, so I can demonstrate to you how the ignition is switched on and off. And that is done by first of all, not placing your foot on the brake pedal at all. And now with one press, even though you will not be able to see this, that will turn on your accessory ignition. A second press will turn on your full ignition. And a third press will turn the ignition off altogether. If I did have my foot on the brake pedal and this part of the alarm system was wired up, just pushing the button one time would start the car. I will also just point out that when you turn the ignition on with the push start button, it is also indicated in the app as well. This white bar here at the top turns red, like this. And when you turn it off, it goes back to white. Okay, unfortunately I will be ending this review here, in disappointment, but I will add that in my personal opinion, if all the problems with this alarm system and the apps were fixed, this system would have a lot of potential to be really good. Okay, I'm now going to dismantle the car all over again and continue with my plans of making the remote start video using the same WHATSKEY alarm system. If I need to modify the main controller in any way to make things work, well then that's what I will have to do. I'm praying this works out well for me, because if it doesn't, it means I will have to buy another car alarm just to make the remote start video, which I really don't want to do at the moment, as this has taken me several hours to install so far and even more hours to film and edit this video. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful in any way, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, where you can watch even more videos, which I upload every week. So I hope to see you all in the remote start video, which should be coming up next.